What is going on, Warriors? That is your boy Shin Ryu, and it is time for another Street Fighter Duel video. This is a very early release, as we know. Balrog's supposed to be here today, and he's been one of the most anticipated characters. And I do have like a busy schedule later in the day at work. I figured I might as well just try to do this quick recording here. Let's get the review and the analysis going, and then of course pretty much how viable and if Balrog is definitely recommended in terms of like not just being a character to add to your squad, but because obviously the 50% you know um discount that is on the character. Now, before we actually proceed with that, remember that we are trying to sort of also decipher if going with the 50% and the benefit of doing 50% where you can get, for example, let's go to definition real quick here. All right, you can see there he is, limited discount 50%, but also you get the discount of also getting this, you know, twice as much, because obviously, and even being able to qualify for the 30k twice as much, because obviously you're going at 50% rather than going at 100. So that is one advantage of going for this 50% whatever. The second advantage, obviously, is as you can see here, this is 13 full days before you can actually, uh, before this discount actually ends. So what that means is that there might be a chance that we might actually get some news or some updates, prior to the end of the discount, and they can still decide if, for example, most people's biggest fear is that this is a bit of a trap, which typically tends to happen from the devs, and you go right ahead and spend your divination and gems, and then all of a sudden whatever is the more attractive 50% comes in. But there's two sides to the coin. First of all, is first things first is this: um is the character definitely good enough being the squad that even if there's a better character that comes around, we're patient enough to sort of grind that character? That's one angle to look at it. Secondly, is this a character that you always wanted to have in your squad regardless? And if it's a character that you want, then definitely that answers the question. But third and most of all is this: whatever character that's coming after this, for example, during the anniversary, are they going to give us a benefit of 50% on that character? Or is it going to be the same trap again and become 50% on a legendary character that comes out? Or maybe 50% on a special summons for the first time ever, and it's not an actual divination character, right? There's a lot of ways this angle can go. So in the end, you just kind of have to make your piece uh, based on two factors. How much do you want a character Balrog? Because obviously it is a discount, and you also have a chance to sort of get 30k gems. I don't know if there's a pity for this 30k gem, but I know if people have gone through it already, and I think you have a higher chance of getting to it faster, obviously by going through the 50% discount there. But also, don't forget the fact that if this character ends up being a really, really good character, you have to understand that this is pretty much the second to the last character that's going to be fully fledged, Street Fighter 4 based character, and then that is not going to be obviously a collab character. And so, with that in mind, we can obviously go right ahead and review the character and see what the kid is about. I kind of missed out. I forgot that maintenance then means you tend to like have to like finish up your stuff in time for the it goes, and it kind of like disappear if I could finish my my daily missions. So typically you guys know what happens whenever I miss my daily missions. The next time I have the chance to play the game, I go ham and I just kind of clear it. So I practically almost cleared everything. I just have battery out to just go with, which typically is online, and can take a while to pair with another character, so we're going to leave that for later. But there's something that I also want to address before we actually go. I know there's a bit of a delay, but this is obviously important news, and there's a reason why I'm actually looking into this. Okay, with the update notes, there's also a chance for us to review the update notes. Okay, so we're just added like reviewing the update notes as well as going through the character review. Is, as you can see here, we've already come from 50% off, on divination, and this is going to end on the 17th. That's about what, 14 days, so it's they're about 2 weeks. The FG battle has already obviously started, and as well as the Buddha battle is already available. Once again, I'm not a big fan of how they rig the spamming of Goken, but that is typically the only way you can actually see Goken win an event. But if they continue to stick with the spamming, might as well have to go with Team Goken. And I think just to let you know how concerned I'm about the whole spamming, whatever. If you look at the squad there, this is the squad here. I think I'm just going to just play it safe for the first time, select a non-Bison team, which is really, really weird and could also be a chance to decide to screw us by not spamming Goken as much or by spamming Bison even more, if they've been paying attention, but I don't think they have been, right? There's no major communication back and forth there. But going beyond Budo Battle, and as one of you know, you know, our viewers had pointed out, the illusionary labyrinth is a bit of a new thing. I don't know, that term labyrinth seems familiar. I know I've said it somewhere before, but the fact that this illusory, I don't think that's pretty much what it was. I think it was something else. But bottom line, with the whole illusionary whatever, I'm just trying to remember what I saw. It actually even had this kind of font as well. You know how this actually this whereas to the whole labyrinth whatever, but illusory, this particular one I think is a brand new stuff, so that actually makes it pretty exciting for something to look forward to as well. Of course, with street art being back, you know how it works, and we've already discussed that before. But where I'm actually very particular about is with regards to these floors, okay, for a few reasons. Okay, I kind of breezed through it the last time. I didn't really look at some of the notes there, but the one thing that is the first important stuff, if you haven't found it already, is this here with the Supreme Fist when it comes to the new floor that's been added, which is the Legendary Temple. Now, it seems this is also going to be, I don't know if it's going to be accessible every time, but there is something you can see right here. You need to own, I remember, I think I was looking at, um, I was thinking about the fact that maybe all you have to do is worry about if you can actually, meet up with whatever criteria is required in terms of like the power. But you need to have a minimum of 3 fighters from legendary factions to actually unlock the temple. Meaning, this is strictly a paid to win event. If you're not spending money on it, you might as well forget about legendary temple, and that is them kind of like giving you a middle finger and telling you that, guys, forget about any chance of having a legendary fighter being free, and we really need to start taking these legendary fighters seriously. For those who have actually invested in them, they're going to get to enjoy this new feature. And for those of you who are holding up on your cash and your wallets, well, good for you. That's what they're trying to tell us right now. So, and as one of them, I guess it is what it is. I'm curious to see what the rewards are going to be like, because as you guys know, the Grandmaster and the Inferno rewards are quite nice, as you can see when you kind of go up there. And speaking of the Grandmaster event, I don't know about you guys, but I know for the longest time it was kind of tough to cross 43 in Master and in Inferno 44 respectively. But we know that they've added new floors. But out of curiosity, I want to just go right ahead and just try it, because I know I have a few more master characters that I could just kind of try out. And of course, being curious to having Goken now as part of my master, characters, I figured I would easily be able to just at least maybe survive, one knockout because of his resurrect, right? So that kind of encouraged me to actually try the Grandmaster Firmament once again. But apparently, I had to just, after going through 2 battles and winning them quite easily, I found myself doing the, consecutive, challenge. And I was able to breeze it up to my current lineup. So I was on 43 before. So obviously you can see I'm on 63 right now. So I've jumped up 20 floors. So that kind of like makes it really, really proves that it was kind of easy for me to go through it. And I'm wondering if because they've added more floors, what they have done is they've also removed the penalty of how difficult it gets quite easily by going up each floor. Because typically, I know when I went up, from level 42 to 43, it was really tough, and I went to 42 to 44, it was a little bit tougher. Of course, I have my team has gone up several levels in terms of like the we're looking for in terms of the limit break, right? But still, I'm still not. I was trying to ask my brother as well if he was able to progress because I know he's way ahead of me in terms of like levels. His levels like almost 390 something. I just entered 360 today when I was trying to do my dailies. But what I'm trying to say is that it was always really difficult to go up a level. Once you complete one level, the next one is always very, very difficult. But it was kind of easy this time around. So I'm thinking the added floors has also meant that they've released the cap because they know that at least it's going to probably take until a while before you actually get to whatever cap they've now added where you would not be able to achieve the final floor level. And if they totally remove the cap as a whole, maybe because they've added legendary events as well, then I guess that's good for us with regards to collecting all the rewards in the master and the inferno section. So that's something for you guys to look out for. If you guys have given up on the master and the inferno, um, you know, um, event and the supreme fist, you might as well just go through it and you'll be able to breeze through. You obviously have master for today, so you can go right ahead and do that. So we've addressed all that, and of course, it kind of took a while. So now let's go to the main event of today's video, which is obviously to analyze the new boy, the man, the bouncer, the fourth and the last, member to finally come up in the game, but obviously the first, member of the Grandmaster team in the Street Fighter universe. They call him the member of the Four Kings. We're talking about Balrog here. All right, so we're going to go right ahead and analyze this character as we typically would. One of the Alexa is a very, very ridiculous, thing. At this stuff now, where all this, where all this, assistants are just picking up voices without even being summoned is really, really crazy. So, for those of you who still don't believe that you're being listened to, that's a proof right there. But of course, under, I guess, certain rules, but it is what it is. Whatever they want to know, they already know. But let's get back to what we're talking about here, which is Balrog here, okay? We're going to go right ahead and analyze the character as we typically do. We're going to figure out if he has any special mechanic that works with the character. So we're going to look at what he consists of, and we're going to try to figure out what kind of character he is, basically. Most of them tend to, like, reflect, their the way that they're sort of created, in the whatever. That's one reason why I love Street Fighter Duel in the way they actually do the characters, because they kind of reflect the way they are. So we're going to look at Balrog, and let's go and look at the passives. All right, so passives over here, and a special term. Oops, that's pretty much it. So there's another thing that we also have to worry about for a second is that Balrog has been available from the very beginning, apparently in the 10 version. So what that means is obviously that it's very possible that he may not have a kit that is in line with the current when I say meta, at least in line with the current level in terms of like how it goes. But we know that the devs have been able to sort of like balance things up and make characters sort of meet up to current standards when they do come out. And I don't think they're going to mess that up with Balrog. So we're going to go right here and we're going to see for sure how his mechanism works, okay? So the passive says Wild Roar, okay? Gain 20% damage reduction upon entering battle. For every 1% HP lost, gain an additional 0.4% damage reduction. So, looks like what we're looking at is we're looking at a character who, the less health he loses, the more shield he gains, like damage reduction that he gains. Okay, obviously, if you take Rich E100 out of the equation, this seems like a potentially amazing character, because look at it, it's 0.4, so we're looking at almost 50%. And let's go over through the rest of the levels. So we're looking at, for every 1 HP loss, gain additional 0.5%, so it becomes 50%. damage reduction. That is obviously based on your HP and it's not capped, as you can see, right? Uh, um, you start with 20%, and then of course you keep adding in all the for every HP that you lose, which obviously, like I said, let's assume you have 100 HP, right? Means you can have a potential of up to a little over 100 before you actually get fatal, damage, right? Uh, for every 1%, it becomes 0.6, and for every 1% it becomes 0.7. So we're looking at it, you get it to 0.7 damage reduction for every 1% of HP loss. This is an amazing feature to have from the very start. And as you can see here, when we look at the character obviously is Inferno. He is a power character as well, so time to invest more in your power equipment. He's also a balanced character, meaning he's probably going to have a tanky feel and also an attacking feel as well. But so far, all we can see here is that this looks like someone who you can sort of deploy at the front to sort of receive damage, because we know that he's evening things out. So it's pretty much like like him in boxing. The more he takes, the more he's willing to dish out. So it's almost like some Hulk sort of feature. You're hurting him more, but you're giving him more resistance, and it's just kind of working out that way. So now let's look at the super combo here. I don't waste my time. Nice animation. Looks similar to the TN version, so nothing has changed there. It says charge up and throw a straight punch that strikes the nearest enemy 3 times, dealing damage equal to 602% of attack. Okay, also inflict additional damage equal to 30% of HP lost by this fighter. So capped at 900% of attack. So we're looking at so for also inflict additional damage of 30% of HP loss by the fighter. So for every HP that you lose, 30% is going to be added to the attack, and it actually can cap at 900% of attack, which is kind of huge. We're just wondering how you can actually achieve that 900%. Okay, so obviously in level 2 increase to 4%, and then in level 3 increase to 5% of HP loss. So that actually almost is equivalent to 1% of almost 1% of HP lost. So obviously if you lose 50% of HP, we're looking at you um if you lose 50% of HP, assuming it is 1% of HP loss, we're looking at 652, right? To the attack in total. So 100% is going to get you a little above 700%, and if we take into account the fact that not 100%, but it's 75% of HP lost, we're looking at obviously a little, you know, under 700% of attack in total. But I'm guessing there are others that are going to help you add to it, because there's a reason why it is obviously capped. And I guess obviously, when you build your character more, you're a little over 100, so it's not going to be like 100 in number per se. But but it says 100% of HP, so regardless of whatever number, it has to be 100%. So I guess that's why they're talking percentage there. But bottom line is that you're also going to be dishing damage for the amount of health that you've lost. And don't forget that even though you're losing health with this character, you are replacing the health that you've lost permanently with damage reduction. And that's why I said the 1% is probably easily going to screw him over. Is going to reach 800. Otherwise, there's nobody else that is, enrich that kind of like capability to stop these tanks. So that's actually quite amazing there. So look for the at the C1. All right, so it's ram the nearest enemy 2 times, dealing damage equal to 250% of attack. After unleashing this skill, gain a shield equal to 200% of lost HP for 10 seconds. So now here you go again with more about losing your HP. So this is kind of like a character that actually encourages you to not have much HP, kind of like how Bison works. And as you guys know, Bison Return of the Inferno only gets triggered after he approaches close to fatal damage, which is obviously damage HP lost. So you can also expect this character to be squishy in terms of like his health, composition. Let's look at okay, for us to look at that, we have to go into the bio. But just so I do not forget this, let's go to the trial. And we're not going to do anything in the trial though. I just want to look at the character himself. It also gives us the opportunity to look at his speed, His speed is 118. That's quite decent for. Looks like the newer characters are gonna come with a decent amount of speed there. But more importantly, as you can see here, look at his health. His health actually not bad. So this is like 1.1, right? Let's compare to someone like this guy here who's a tank. 1.2, okay, and 1.0. So that's not bad. But if we want to compare them to someone who's more of a recent Inferno character, let's look at someone like. Do we have anybody here that could be worth comparing with? Oh, no, Inferno. I want to look for. Okay, let's look at recent character like in Ada, for example, 1.0. So his health actually doesn't look like it's actually bad, but I want to look for someone who's actually like a proper tank or a proper Inferno character. To see. Okay, let's look at Sagi, who's a proper tank, right? And see what his 1.3. So 1.1, that's actually not bad at all. It's not like he's really squishy like that. I wish I could. This is where we could actually look at Bison is by actually leaving this here. I want to see what Bison's health is because obviously we know it's kind of squishy, which obviously is required because you do trigger his Return of the Inferno that way. So yeah, he's a little under one. So um, that actually confirms what I'm talking about with regards to his squishiness. But with regards to Balrog, he's still kind of decent. So let's go back to the character and look at the final piece there. Okay, so it says, did we complete this one here to get? Yeah, pretty much. You get the shield, but level 2 takes you to 40% of HP lost, which is kind of great. And level 3 says also grant friendly fighters the shield equal to 20% of HP lost by these fighters. So while he gets 40% of HP loss, the rest of the characters will get 30%. So that kind of puts him in a nice spot as well, because this is kind of like able protection, mode. There's an alternate, character that you can sort of use to protect your team and reduce damage, when obviously being attacked with the C1. Okay, now let's look at the C2. Throw a hook punch that strikes the nearest enemy 4 times, dealing damage equal to 534% of attack. While unleashing this skill, gain damage bonus equal to 7% of this fighter's current damage reduction. Okay, so you're gonna get this is for you to buff up his attack. You're gonna be using the C3. The C2, and it doesn't say that you get it for a certain amount of time. So it just says while unleashing this skill. Okay, so this skill grants an additional 70% to execute. So it's just for the skill. It's not like it's going to just add to his attack damage bonus, indefinitely. And of course, increase damage to 650% of attack and damage bonus 100% on level 3. So almost like you're doing twice the damage. So if the attack is 615%, then we're looking at what? 1230, so 1230 in total. So that's actually quite massive. So that might be something that you want to use, especially something that is going to become even more powerful the lesser health he has. Okay, so that's pretty much what's amazing about this character here. If we go over to this fighting spirit, it is also worthy to know that he has no soul power, so we just want to just clear that out of the way. He does get HP bonus 23%, attack bonus 33%, which is his primary source. Pressure 10%, damage bonus 10%. Okay, and skills boxing king, punishment fist. Okay, so when HP falls below 40% for the first time, gain super armor for 15 seconds. Okay, obviously super armor gives you more, tankiness, but more importantly, you can be pushed to the back. That means that encourages you to keep hitting him more and keep giving him more, damage reduction, and of course, damage that he can execute the opposition. So let's go to the first one. What happens when you have an assist? Grant assist fighter 10% damage reduction at the start of the battle. For every HP lost by the assist fighter, they gain 0.2% damage reduction. So this is kind of cool. to add to your tank. This is actually really good stuff. Of course, it's much reduced at 0.2, and I don't know if you want to be using him as an assist, but if, for example, you have a one team lineup and it's someone you want to consider, that's not a bad assist to have there. Okay, and for the plus 10, when HP falls below 40% for the first time, gain super armor and increase attack by 20% and and effect resist by 50%. This lasts for 15 seconds. Okay, so I guess that pretty much is describing what you have in here, the very first one. Okay, but when you go to plus 20, and the same thing happens, except this time 60% for the first time, you go to gain super armor and increase attack by 30% and effect resist by 80%. So, okay, hold on here. So here the first one says when HP falls below 40% for the first time, gain super armor and increase attack by 20%. When HP falls below 60% for the first time, gain super armor and increase attack by 30%. Now, are you going to be getting subsequent? If you go past 60, do you get the 30% attack? That's the 56. And if you go past 40, do you get another one again? But this time, 20% and 50% effect resist. So that portion I'm not really sure, or if it just kind of upgrades and becomes instead of 40%, because it sounds like the former for me. So I'm going to go right ahead and just stick with that for now. Okay, and for plus 30, after unleashing a combo or super combo, Balrog will take damage on behalf of the friendly fighter with the lowest HP percentage for 10 seconds. If Balrog receives fatal damage while damage sharing is active, he gains damage immunity for 1 second. Ooh, okay. Recovers 30% of lost HP and ends the damage sharing effect. Damage sharing trigger interval is 15 seconds. Okay, so cool stuff. All right. So what is happening here is that obviously if you add him to your combo lineup, actually using a C1 or C2, just give me a moment here. All right. So as I was saying, if you're in damage share mode, then obviously you're probably going to use his C1. It seems to be one of the nice ones to use in terms of protection. If you already have more damage dealers, but if you want to use his damage dealing attack, then obviously you want to use his C2. Using that is going to trigger an opportunity for you to sort of survive. And if anyone else is about to get, pummeled, he's going to take damage for them. And of course, if he loses his health, he's probably going to survive the death and retain his viability. So that's kind of pretty cool. It's almost like helping out with. It's almost like he has his own form of survivability that is in line with what Sagat has. Obviously, what Bison has as well. I get Vega is the only one that doesn't survive like that. But that kind of puts Vega in that advantage where he can protect Vega if Vega is about to get killed, because Sagat obviously might be able to survive a bit longer, and Vega's one obviously wants to get killed. If you want to obviously line up the 4 kings, I know a lot of people are thinking about that lineup for sure. He has a chance of protecting character, and it doesn't just happen one time. You do have every 15 seconds for you to perform this move again. So that's actually pretty cool. And it says punch them to punish them. So pretty much the whole thing surrounds the fact that the more I get hit, the more I attack, and I'm also likely to survive and keep on going, So that kind of makes sense. And obviously, last but not least, I've got the garage. All right, Buffalo Boon. So for every 1% of HP lost, increase the strength of incoming shield effects by 0.5. And for every 8% of 1 pre-loss, critical rate by 0.5 and critical damage by 1%. So obviously, it just adds to the strength of the shield as well. I don't know if we're keeping up with the numbers. So far, if we're looking at the strength of the shield that you're going to get from the regular skill, we're looking at what 20% of HP lost to all the friendly fighters and 40% for himself. So we have to consider HP. We have to consider an extra +1 for every HP lost as well. I really don't want to start doing some math right now, but pretty much it seems like you're just going to become more durable. So this pretty much is a character that is built to last. That's pretty much the way I'm gonna put it. Um, what do I think about the kit so far? I love the fact that it is unique, that it has its own, um, mechanic to it, that is exclusive to him, and also the fact that he's a boxer, so I can't. The one thing I wish was available that I'm actually surprised that he doesn't have, actually as a boxer, and if you played Street Fighter 2 back in the day, is one of the places that you pretty much look at is him not having the ability to stun with his punches. I actually find that as a surprising, you know, mechanic that is lost. He has no form of debuff at all. It's all about just pure damage and pure resistance, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I would have loved for him to have had the ability to stun. Maybe like a counter, right? When he, maybe like, for example, if the fatal damage doesn't occur because due to damage sharing, that he would sort of like survive, but then the opposite, whoever was trying to land the killing blow would get stunned. That would have been nice, but I guess that's a missed opportunity there with the character. That would have made him a whole lot more amazing. But I think he's kind of decent so far. But then again, this is just pretty much half of the the story as well. When it comes to reviewing the character, we obviously are going to look at the character in terms of like his abilities on the fighting trials, and that will give us a much clearer expectation of what to get from the character. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the character. Is this someone that you already bearing in mind to pull? Are you pulling the character regardless? Are you a bit skeptical? Are you happy with what you've read with the kit and what I've actually explained so far? Let me know your thoughts. Comment below, as I said before. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.